Alright, so what's your names?
I'm Aaron Tracey.
I'm Mark Winters.
Alright, so Aaron, give me a brief synopsis of the Hamper Fund and what's it about.
So the Hamper Fund is an annual fundraising event in the school where basically we raise money for food vouchers and we make hampers for those less off in our constituency.
So who are the beneficiaries? Who receives the hampers?
Essentially like 200 families around Dublin, the inner city area, such as Phibsborough. We've schools such as Saint Vincent de Paul Primary School, which is just around the corner from us here in CUS. They receive 46 hampers, and in total there's around 200 hampers go out to these families, and essentially like one person, boy or girl, will receive the hamper, but they bring it home to their family and it feeds them for the whole Christmas. And
what are the contents of the hamper?
So basically we buy it off a wholesaler. So a whole hamper costs about €55, but it would probably be double, triple that in the shop. So you have things like cereal, porridge, jams, pasta, sauces, and literally they are boxes they're big boxes and they're packed full of food, and there's also selection boxes for children at the end because a lot of the families we're giving them to have children. So we normally put in like a few tins of biscuits and selection boxes just for them.
Alright, how are funds raised for this?
The fund, there's multiple ways the funds are raised for this Hamper Fund. So we have our annual Christmas Jumper Day, we have the Cake Sale Day, there's busking on Grafton Street, the 60 years do a sponsored fast, we have collecting on Grafton Street where the 4th years go up and down Grafton Street just looking for money. Then people bring in very generous donations.
Past pupils are a huge part. Past pupils raise a lot of money. People within the school just bring in money, and we're also at the minute giving out sponsorship forms to 1st, 2nd and 3rd, 4th and 5th years, and they should bring in some money as well.
So in total we have to raise about €15,000 to keep the Hamper Fund running on a year-by-year basis. So through all these various different fundraisers, we do hope to get it, but it is tight fit.
And the 15,000 goes towards both the hampers and all the food vouchers. And the food vouchers are a huge part because they feed families year round. We give to different societies ranging from about €300 in food vouchers to €900 in food vouchers, and I think it's about 6,000 of all our money goes towards the food vouchers. And there's absolutely no cost in the Hamper Fund because we're in transition year, so it's for free. So every single cent raised it isn't spent on admin or it isn't spent on employing anyone because it's all transition years and it's all on a voluntary basis.
Yeah, perfect. So who runs it then? Who runs the Hamper Fund?
Well, the chief teacher in charge will be Miss Lohan, and then throughout 4th year there are a number of students. So in total there was about 17 students picked for the Hamper Fund committee. The main leader of the Hamper Fund was this year Aaron, and then he had co-leader and myself, and then Jonathan Toll also played a huge part in the Hamper Fund. So Miss Lohan, she basically organised everything, gave us all the jobs to do, and then these jobs were carried out by the boys and was looked over by Aaron.
So we basically had a number of positions. We have an accountant in Caelan McAvoy. Jonathan Toll was in charge of all the admin work and organising all the vouchers, so that was a huge part as well. And then we had people like Alex Haggerty, Owen Buckley. They were doing a lot of the physical work, and there was loads of people doing the physical work because that's a huge part and it's very tiring, but it's well rewarding. And then we also have, we can't just depend on 17 students, we have to depend on things like people coming in and collecting hampers. We have to depend on a bus company to deliver the hampers who very kindly volunteered their time for free. So it isn't just the Hamper Fund, and Miss Lohan has a huge part to play. She basically gives us all the jobs, and then myself and Mark dictate where people go, and then from there we try to make a streamlined system.
Great. So how did you find the whole experience of being involved in the Hamper Fund?
Overall, I think it was a very good experience. It was eye-opening in that we got to see where these hampers were going when we went on the bus. got to see who these families actually were, rather than the other years when we were younger in the school. We might have just brought in the food and it was just a task that had to be done. We didn't really appreciate what happened with it, but this year really got a better feel for what goes on within the Hamper Fund and what it's like living in a disadvantaged community where it is a struggle to get food on the table for Christmas.
And I also think, like, as a team we learned a lot of lessons, especially for me, like going from the start, you know, we've been stressed out at the smallest of things, but I learned, you know, everything's grand, and you know, Miss Lohan's a great help, Mark's a great help as co-team leader. He takes away the stress a bit, and you learn stuff like leadership skills. The lads down in the canteen, you know, they learn how to do their weekly shop, they know what goes in each hamper, and like the people doing the accounts learned new accounts, the people doing the organising of the vouchers learned, you know, communication skills, and I think it was a really worthwhile experience for all of us, and I think everyone enjoyed getting off school. So
we definitely bonded as a team, so the camaraderie between us all by the end was a lot more than it was at the start, because we might not have particularly talked to each other all the time at the start, but by the end we're really quite close friends. It's a good group.
Alright, is there anything you think that could be improved for the Hamper Fund if you're giving advice for next year's fourth years?
Well, Ms Lohan was saying we're probably going to have to train up next year's fourth years because she doesn't know too many of them. So basically we'll probably be going through the different things that we found were useful and the different things we found weren't that great. One of the main things that was really useful was getting a conveyor belt system when we were doing the hampers. There we could do maybe 15 hampers in half an hour, which was really good, but I think also to really encourage the hampers to be full in the classroom, not just to take them when they're half full, or if a teacher says yeah they look full, until there's everything on that list in the hamper we shouldn't take them, because we were left with a bit of a shortage this year. Luckily we'd fundraised enough to cover that shortage, but just and I also think enthusiasm is really a big thing, because you know, you can have people who say yeah I want to do it, but then once they get there they're either sitting around, and if you have a good team who are really enthusiastic, that helps.
Organisation helps a lot as well. If, like, say at the start we probably weren't as organised as we were towards the end of the Hamper Fund, and you could tell in everything, like even down to the fact people knew what jobs they were doing by the end, whereas at the start people were kind of asking questions as to what to do. And once we got that conveyor belt system going, everything flew. People just knew what they were doing, they put their head down, they did their job, and it really just, it worked. It was a good system. So if next year, if you get that done from an early stage, it'll be really productive and your team will just bond and work well.
So do you know any of the history of the Hamper Fund? Do you know like when it started or who started it? Or
so I'm pretty sure Martin Freeman started it. Unfortunately he died, so or retired, so Miss Lohan took over, I think about 10, I'm not too sure how many years ago. And basically at the start it was just, I think, giving out a few hampers, but then it grew and grew. We're not really too sure in the history, but I'm pretty sure that's how it started.
And so is there any memorable moments or best or worst moments of the whole thing?
Well, for some of us, I think some of our best moments were when our leader got a bit stressed, and it got quite funny at times.
Yeah,
you know,
being taped to the ground was a highlight.
Yeah, we had a few funny moments, and those things happen, you know, when people are getting stressed and they're getting tired, and then you're just so finished with doing all the work come the end of the day that then we end up just having a laugh with each other, and someone, Aaron, seemed to take the blunt of most of the jokes.
I remember one day though, highlight, we were all in a pretty giddy mood, and we had one of a speaker, and we were all singing along to the Christmas songs and all the Irish rebel songs, and that was a highlight. We were all singing while we were working, and we filled up the canteen with noise, and the preps were coming in and listening to us. So no, that was a good moment, and you know, yeah, I can't really say there's been a bad experience. Maybe a few bruises here and there, but that's about it.
Yeah, there was no real low points during the Hamper Fund. Like, to be fair, even when there was a small argument or a small fight out,
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was like, it ended up the next day at most things were sorted out and we were moving on to the next task. We just kept pushing on, so it was a good experience.
But I remember Miss Lohan said, you know, it's kind of like an airplane. It starts off slowly and then it picks up speed as the weeks go on, because you need to get the hampers out. So at the start, when you look back, we have a to-do list of all the jobs, and you look at how much you've done. Even just finishing, getting out all the hampers is a great feeling. And I think going out to the schools actually on bus was a great experience for the lads. So yeah, it was good.
And so lastly, do you think the Hamper Fund was a good initiative?
Yes, definitely.
It certainly is, yeah.
It helps so many families.
And it's great fun overall. The people that you help, there's so many people that are helped by what goes on, and people don't seem to realise that. So being in the fund, you really accept this gulf in wealth between people, like so close to each other.
I'd advise everyone in third year now to consider doing it for transition year. It's a great thing to do and it's great fun as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
A certain phobia of hammers.
Hello.
Go, go.